The morning shift astronomer reran the scan 4 times because she was sure she'd made a mistake. Earth wasn't where it was supposed to be. No explosion, no debris field, no gravitational echo of a catastrophe. Just empty space where 8 billion people used to be. It took the coalition 3 years to find them again. And when they did, Earth was orbiting a star 40 light-years away, like it had always been there. Humanity had moved their entire planet in a single night. And the only explanation they ever gave was 2 words: better view. No warning, no debris. 8 billion people vanished. 3 years later, Earth reappeared around another star, and humanity's only explanation was better view. The coalition now faces an unsettling truth. We never actually knew this species. This is the story of the day our neighbor stopped playing by the rules. Dr. Lena Kessler had worked the overnight shift at the Coalition Deep Space Array for 11 years, and in all that time, she had never once had to file an anomaly report. She liked it that way. The array was quiet, predictable, the kind of job where the most exciting thing was a routine pulsar calibration. So when her console flagged a missing body in the Sol system, she assumed it was a sensor glitch. She reset the scan. Same result. She cross-checked with the secondary array on Proxima Station. Nothing. By the fourth run, her hands were shaking. Earth was gone, not destroyed, not moved by some rogue gravitational force, simply gone as if it had been erased from existence, and with it 8 billion sentient beings. The Coalition Security Council convened within the hour. This was not a drill. Earth had been a quiet, unremarkable member world for over a century. They had no enemies, no known internal conflicts that would lead to self-annihilation. The initial panic was not just about the loss of life. It was about the incomprehensibility of the event. No debris meant no weapon known to galactic science had caused it. No energy signature meant no natural disaster could explain it. The planet had simply switched off. For 3 years, over 400 observatories across 7 systems searched for any trace of humanity. It was the largest astronomical manhunt in galactic history. And then on June 4, 2054, a junior analyst on the night shift at the Captain Array found it. A perfect match for Earth's spectroscopic signature, orbiting the orange dwarf star HD 219134, a system 40.3 light-years from its original position. The planet was intact. Its atmosphere was stable. Its orbit was mathematically flawless. And when the Coalition sent a probe to make contact, the response came back not as a distress call, not as a plea for help, but as 2 words transmitted in flawless galactic common: better view. The probe was then deactivated by an unknown signal. All subsequent hails were met with the same calm, almost bored human voice. We moved. Don't worry about it. In a single night, humanity had relocated their entire planet, oceans, mountains, cities, and every living thing across 40 light-years of interstellar void. And they acted like they had simply changed apartments. The Coalition's finest minds had one question, and it was the question that would shatter a century of galactic certainty. What else had humanity been hiding, and who were they really sharing a galaxy with? The Coalition's official stance shifted from grief to disbelief within a single dispatch cycle. Dr. Kessler, now promoted to lead investigator, sat in a briefing room with the top astrophysicists of 12 species. They replayed the probe's final transmission again and again. Better view. 2 words: calm, unhurried. The voice analysis showed 0 stress indicators, minor amusement, and a faint background sound later, identified as someone pouring a hot beverage. Humanity's response to a 40 light-year planetary relocation was indistinguishable from a person answering a casual question while holding coffee. The forensic astronomy team moved first. They modeled the energy required to translocate an entire M-class planet. The numbers were absurd. Even the theoretical Alcubierre drive concepts that littered coalition engineering schools needed a warp bubble around a vessel, not a world. To envelop Earth, preserve its atmosphere, and shield it from tidal forces would require a power output equivalent to a small star-going supernova. And yet, telescopes trained on the old Sol orbit showed no radiation burst, no gravitational wave echo, not even a momentary temperature spike. The planet had simply stopped being there and started being somewhere else. No observable transition. Physics, as the coalition knew it, offered no mechanism. This wasn't a leap in technology. It was a rewrite of the universe's operating manual. But the true horror settled in when they analyzed the new orbit. Earth's trajectory around HD 219,134 was a near-perfect circle at precisely the right distance for liquid water. That wasn't accidental. They had chosen the destination. And they had chosen a star system the coalition had flagged as unremarkable. No advanced species, no strategic value. It was, from a galactic perspective, quiet, private, like a neighbor who moved to the countryside without leaving a forwarding address. The question was no longer how. The question was why, and what else were they willing to do to get it? Then the signals intercepted from Earth's inner system traffic leaked. A coalition listening post near the new system had been silently collecting radio chatter for weeks. Most of it was mundane, weather reports, sports scores, shipping lane updates. But one encrypted burst, decrypted by the coalition's finest quantum linguists, contained a fragment of a conversation between what sounded like two Earth military officials. The transcript read, "Test successful, all 8 billion in stasis. Moving day went smoother than last time. Last time." That single phrase shattered the room. Humanity hadn't just done this once. This was, by their own accounting, a repeatable operation, possibly a routine one. Dr. Kessler cross-referenced historical survey data. Coalition cartographers had mapped the Sol system 120 years before, noting Earth's exact position and orbital velocity. But when she overlaid older human astronomical records from the same era, there was an anomaly. Earth's rotation axis had shifted by 0.03 degrees between the last coalition survey and the first human space telescope launch. That amount is impossible without a catastrophic impact, or a planetary-scale engine test conducted in silence decades before first contact. It was never a mistake in the data. Humanity had been practicing for over a century. The revelation chain accelerated. The human embassy on the coalition capital station, staffed by a single tired-looking diplomat, issued a statement that only deepened the panic. "We apologize for any inconvenience." Earth's relocation was a domestic decision, not a hostile act. "We remain committed to peaceful coexistence and will share relocation technologies when other species reach appropriate developmental benchmarks." The words "appropriate developmental benchmarks" landed like a war declaration. The coalition's most advanced civilizations had interstellar drives and planetary energy grids, but humanity was treating them like children who weren't ready to drive a starship. The diplomatic insult was staggering, and the implication was worse. Humanity saw itself not as a peer, but as a guardian, or perhaps a warden. Behind closed doors, the Coalition Security Council debated options. No military vessel in the fleet could threaten a species that treated planets like luggage, but inaction would signal weakness. The Drath Imperium, a species known for aggressive responses, proposed a blockade of the new Earth system using their entire armada. They were shouted down by the more cautious Vekari, who pointed out that humanity had never attacked anyone. "They moved their own home, not a weapon," the Vekari delegate argued. "We are not under threat. We are simply being informed of the new hierarchy." That phrase hung in the air. The new hierarchy. It was the first time anyone had said it aloud, but everyone in that room felt it. The galaxy's power structure had just tilted, and the center of gravity was now a small blue planet that had decided 40 light-years was a trivial commute. Then came the pivot. A deep space probe monitoring the old Sol system captured an image that reframed everything. In the exact spot where Earth used to orbit, a structure was assembling itself. Microscopic at first, but growing geometrically. A lattice of unknown material unfolding from a seed no larger than a fist. The humans hadn't just left. They had left behind a construction project. And when coalition scientists enhanced the image, they saw the seed's design was organic, almost crystalline, and it was communicating. It emitted a simple, repeating signal on every known frequency in every known language, including Galactic Common. The message wasn't a warning. It was an advertisement. Coming soon, Sol System Resort, your ultimate vacation destination in a decommissioned habitable zone. Bookings opened cycle 8. Humanity hadn't just moved their planet for a better view. They had turned their old home system into a timeshare. And the coalition realized, with dawning horror, that this was all just business as usual for them. The advertisement was not a joke. Coalition linguists and cultural analysts confirmed the broadcast's authenticity within hours. It was a commercial solicitation, complete with package deals, off-peak discounts, and a cheerful holographic representative offering guided tour of the historical United Nations ruins, an authentic pre-relocation cuisine. The timeshare would open in 5 standard cycles. Bookings were already filling from something the humans called the Galactic Dark Web, a shadow network of species the Coalition had never even cataloged. Humanity had been talking to other civilizations long before they'd bothered to join the official council. In fact, they'd been doing business. The seed wasn't just a seed. It was a factory. Within 3 months, the lattice had grown to the size of a small moon, its crystalline structure weaving itself from the asteroid belt's mineral wealth, converting raw matter into habitation modules, orbital parks, and a gravity-defying central spire that pulsed with a soft, blue light. The construction noise, electromagnetic pulses, plasma welds, was so orderly it sounded like music. The Drath Imperium's battle fleet, still stationed at the edge of the old solar system, received a laser communication from the Seed Tower. Welcome to Sol Vista. Please maintain a safe distance of 200,000 kilometers. Complimentary docking if you're here to buy. That was the moment the Drath Admiral, a scarred veteran of 17 border wars, reportedly sat down in his command chair and refused to issue any orders. He was not afraid of a fight. He was afraid of a species that treated an interstellar construction project like a welcome wagon, and he was not alone. Across the coalition, the same realization curdled. Humanity was not aggressive. They were worse. They were hospitable. They offered towels, and no one knew what that meant. Then the deep historical analysis dropped. A team of coalition xenoarchaeologists, given unrestricted access to human data archives for the first time, discovered something that had been hidden in plain sight. Earth's so-called myths, stories of Atlantis' modern lost technologies, the tales of ancient gods moving the sky, those weren't myths. They were memories, fragments of an original oral history that described humanity's first self-relocation, not 40 light years. A short hop, from a dying world to the Sol system. The planet they called Earth was not their first home, and they had been moving it for 100,000 years. The wait, it gets worse moment landed when Dr. Kessler cross-referenced the catalog of Earth's neighbor stars. 3 of them, within 50 light-years, showed traces of anomalous tectonic stress on their rocky planets, stress patterns that matched exactly the simulation of a planet being suddenly absent from its orbit. Humanity had not just moved once. They had moved repeatedly, using star systems as stepping stones, and the orange dwarf they now orbited was simply the latest in a long, unbroken chain of deliberate migrations. Their entire existence as a species was one of itinerant planet jumping. They were not from Earth. Earth was their vessel, and they had never hidden this. The two words better view were now being analyzed with renewed horror. The orange dwarf HD 219,134 sat at a unique vantage point on the outer edge of the galactic spur, a place where the night sky offered an unobstructed, panoramic view directly into the intergalactic void. The humans weren't just seeking a scenic horizon. They were facing the direction of the Great Attractor, the massive extragalactic gravitational anomaly that drew entire clusters toward it. Whatever was out there, whoever was coming, they wanted to see it first. They'd repositioned their entire civilization as a lookout post. A single unencrypted transmission was then received by every listening station in a 1,000-light-year radius. It came directly from the new Earth, from an entity calling itself Human Transit Authority. It was a simple, automated message, clearly not intended for the coalition, but for recipients far darker and more distant. It said, "This vessel will depart in 300 standard cycles. All passengers must be secured. Prepare for final boarding, destination, convergence." The galaxy hadn't just met a new species. It had stumbled into the middle of a migration that predated civilization itself, and the clock was now ticking. The Coalition Security Council fell into stunned silence. For a full standard minute, no delegate spoke. The message had been received by every listening post, every diplomatic relay, every military command center across known space. It was not encrypted. It was not targeted. It was a departure announcement, broadcast like a public transit alert, and the destination was the gravitational heart of the universe itself. Humanity had never been a junior member of the galactic community. They had been a passenger on a journey that started before most species in the room had evolved their first multicellular ancestors. Dr. Kessler sat in the observation gallery, staring at the holographic projection of the new Earth. The planet glowed serene, its clouds swirling, its oceans reflecting the orange light of its adopted star. She replayed the entire sequence in her mind. The vanished planet, the perfect new orbit, the seed factory, the timeshare, the transmission. Each piece individually baffling. Together, they painted a picture she could finally see clearly. Humanity didn't just possess technology beyond the Coalition's reach. They possessed a purpose beyond it. They were not running from something. They were sailing toward it. The human diplomat assigned to the council, the tired-looking man named John Smith, finally agreed to a closed-door session. He arrived with a single cup of coffee and an expression of mild inconvenience. The questions came in a torrent. What is convergence? Why the timeshare? How many times have you moved? Are you a threat? Smith waited for the din to subside, then spoke with the calm of a man explaining fire to someone who had only ever seen smoke. We've been migrating for longer than we've kept history. Our homeworld, our first homeworld, orbited a star that died. We didn't have interstellar drives yet, so we moved the planet. That's how we do things. We find a view we like, we settle in for a few millennia, and then the call comes again. The Great Attractor isn't a mystery to us, it's a destination. Convergence is just the place where all the old migratory paths meet. We're far from the only ones making the trip. You'll meet the others when we arrive. The room erupted. Others, the Vicari delegate's voice cracked. You mean there are more species like you? Smith took a sip of his coffee. Like us. No, but older, much older. The galaxy is crowded in the direction we're going. Your telescopes just can't see them yet. That's why we positioned ourselves here. The view from this spur is clear. We can watch the lane, see who's arriving, who's departing. And we thought, well, why not open a few seats? The timeshare is real. It's also an application. Interested species can join the voyage. We're not conquering anyone. We're offering a ride. The admission reorganized everything. The Drath admiral, who had refused to give orders hours earlier, now sent a formal request to visit Sol Vista, not as a military maneuver but as a potential passenger. His message was one sentence long. Do you accept warriors? the reply came back within minutes. "All are welcome. We'll find you a good spot near the observation deck." The blockade dissolved. The galaxy's most feared battle fleet became a line of prospective tourists, and in that moment the old order simply evaporated. Power wasn't about who had the biggest guns. It was about who had the longest itinerary. Dr. Kessler walked out of the briefing and stood at the station's observation window. The new Earth was visible, a tiny blue gem in the vastness. She thought about the phrase that had started it all, "better view." It had sounded absurd when she first heard it, a joke, a deflection. Now she understood. It was the truth. Humanity had moved their entire world not for strategic gain or resource acquisition, but because they wanted to see the universe more clearly. They wanted to face the road ahead, and they had left their old parking spot available for anyone who wanted to come along. The final surprise came 2 weeks later. A deep space observatory, pointed toward the great attractor, detected something new, a cluster of lights, faint, distant, but unmistakably artificial. Hundreds of them. Thousands. A traffic pattern. The lane that Smith had mentioned was real, and it was busy. Humanity hadn't just told the galaxy about the migration. They had casually drawn the curtains on a cosmic highway that had been operating for billions of years. And as the countdown to departure began, 300 cycles, now 299, the coalition understood that the story of Earth's vanishing was only the first page. The real journey was just coming into view. The lights Dr. Kessler saw were not stars. They were ships, stations, entire worlds in transit, strung across the intergalactic void like lanterns on an ancient road. Humanity had been following them for time beyond memory, and now, by accident or design, they had revealed the road to everyone. The coalition spent decades debating whether this was a gift or a warning. Some species demanded that the migration be stopped, regulated, controlled. Others quietly submitted applications to the Human Transit Authority. Sol Vista became the busiest port in the known galaxy almost overnight. The timeshare, it turned out, wasn't a joke. It was an invitation. And the humans, they kept their word. They always had. The deeper truth, the one that stayed with Kessler long after she retired, was that Earth's vanishing was never about Earth. It was about perspective. When you've spent your entire existence as a species standing still, believing the universe revolves around you, discovering that your neighbor has been traveling for 100,000 years isn't just humbling. It's a fundamental reordering of reality. There is no center. There is no fixed home. There is only the view from where you are and the decision to move when the view could be better. That, in the end, was humanity's real message. Not a threat, not a boast. Just a quiet, almost polite observation that the galaxy is bigger than anyone had dared to imagine, and that someone, somewhere, has always been watching it from a better seat. If you want to explore more stories from the edge of the unknown, subscribe and join us. The view from here is just getting interesting.